Well, our weather around here has been rather enjoyable, actually. Pleasant temperatures and so on. Let's check in right now with meteorologist Mark Avery in the Skywatch Weather Center for the first forecast. Mark?
Well, Dennis has brought us the cool conditions, the unseasonably cool. You know, it feels, this is what, if you've ever wondered what the weather's like in the northern plains, like North Dakota or something like that, I've actually been there. This is what it's like in early June in North Dakota. It's breezy, it's about 80 or so. And that's all because of Dennis, actually. Let's look at the satellite. You see some of the high clouds we have out there. Dennis is still barely breathing. He's still barely alive, and he's just struggling out there. He is getting a little bit of kick from the Gulf Stream, which is helping to keep him alive, but there's a lot of things going against him right now, and so he stayed about stationary as far as position and his strength. There's your coordinates as of 5 o'clock, 34.7 north, 74.0 west. That's 95 miles east-southeast of Cape Hatteras. He's just drifting around slowly southwestward about 3 miles per hour or less, and still 60 miles per hour. Where's he going next? We'll check that out coming up in a few minutes, Murph.
Okay, Mark. So, Mark, you know, Dennis is really
annoying.
Becoming more of a nuisance than a threat in some aspects, but it just won't go away.
Yeah, he's like rotten fish and relatives that have stayed longer than 3 days. Wanted to go away. Dennis, one word in the forecast, Dennis. What's he doing? Where is he going? What about the weekend? What's he doing to do for that? We'll check it all out next. Well, short and long term, all we have to do to talk about the weather now is Dennis. Dennis is still sitting out there, not going very much of anywhere. He is showing a very slight westward drift, but motion, overall trend as far as motion today has been staying in place. You can see here on the visible satellite image, if you're up in space at the satellite and you look down really close with binoculars or something, you would see exactly this. And you can see the center trying to move slightly to the west. We'll start there and kind of southwest, so basically meandering. And we are starting to get some of the high clouds off the western edge, and that's what we will have in the evening hours. Your forecast this evening, a few clouds and temperatures in the 70s with a north to northwest wind, about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Skywatch Neighborhood Network from Alltel takes us to College Nolander. It's 86 degrees there and a northeast wind at 5 to 10, 15 miles per hour, and of course no rainfall. We'll check a sky watcher. We go to Lumberton. It's 85 at Faith Walker's house, and no rainfall to speak of. Across the state now, cooler where the clouds and where Dennis has been letting his influence be known. Elizabeth City 74, Norfolk, Virginia 74. Still in the 80s where the sun has been out, pushing 90 in Charlotte and 90 down in Charleston. Here's the latest on Dennis as of 34.7 north, 74.0 west. That's about 95 miles east-southeast of Cape Hatteras, drifting about southwest about 3 miles per hour. So basically stationary, not going very much of anywhere. Stationary in winds about 60 miles per hour. Now, here's the upper air pattern. This is our next best hope for getting Dennis out of here, scooting him out to sea, is still way out in the west coast. This big trough of low pressure in the upper parts of the atmosphere. A trough is where the jet stream digs down or heads down to the south. And out here towards the east, the steering currents are very weak, and because of that, Dennis is still sitting pretty much in place. And because the steering currents are very weak, Dennis doesn't have any place to go, and that's why he's sitting in place and going not much of anywhere. As a matter of fact, in the upper parts of the atmosphere, there's a high, and on the south part of the high, you have winds out of the west. So that's why the forecast for Dennis is to generally drift towards the west and southwest. However, if he can hold off just long enough, and unfortunately for the tourists and the tourist business around here, it means waiting through the weekend for this trough to scoot off to the east, but this is another 5 or 6 days away before it gets here. And really, haven't you had enough of Dennis yet? I know I have, and certainly it's going to be a while before he gets out of here, it looks like. Here's the official track for him. As of 2 o'clock tomorrow, he'll be still offshore. 2 o'clock Saturday offshore, and 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, he will be centered around Kenansville. Now, what this means is a tropical storm force winds about 60 miles per hour possible on Saturday night and Sunday, Onslow County, and maybe the Pender Beaches in northeastern Pender County. Other than that, I think more like sustained winds 20 to 30 miles per hour, with some higher gusts up to about 40 for most everybody else. But again, I got to tell you this, the computers are really going all over the place as far as where Dennis is going, because the upper air pattern is going nowhere. So he's still worth keeping an eye on, and we'll keep an eye on it, and if anything else happens, we'll let you know. So he doesn't want to go away, but we'll just have to try to get rid of them. Clouds tonight, 68 for the low, north to northwest winds. Tomorrow, a few high clouds. Clouds in the increase during the day, up to 85 with a north to northwest wind. Here's your next 6 days. Look at this. Clouds, a lot of it depends on where Dennis goes. If he just hangs out in place like he's been, it's going to be windy. It's going to be breezy any way you look at it, just because he's going to be hanging out. And he loves North Carolina so much, he just can't get enough of us. But we've had enough of him. Chelsea Lancaster has our kids' art for today from Union Elementary, a windy picture, appropriately enough. If you want to register for a hurricane kit, send us a postcard at News 6, 322 Shipyard Boulevard, Wilmington, 28412. That's it. I'm done.
All right.
I wish Dennis was.
Okay. We'll talk to you some more
All righty.
as
More at
time
6,
goes
yeah.
by. All right.